Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Thailand and welcome to Worm Bin Weekends. Now, after almost 9 months of having this series run on weekends, usually Friday to Sunday, I've noticed that I've been having to check in on the bins sometimes for longer periods of time than I normally would on a routine basis, like in other words weekly. It's in some cases like now, been close to 3 weeks since I populated bin 1, and I've also removed most of the castings and added new bedding to bins 2 and 3. Because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change things up a bit. We're going to still have worm bin weekends, but I'm not going to mark it by, like for instance, this would have been week 36. Each one of the bins is going to have its own playlist. A worm bin weekend playlist for bin 1, bin 2, and bin 3. What's going to happen is each one of the bins is going to be treated a little bit differently, and by that I mean certain ones will be getting certain types of foods, certain ones will be getting certain types of bedding, and we're going to start doing a little bit more testing, all in an effort to figure out what is going to work best for the worms to help beef them up and get them larger in size, and also start to prepare them for the ultimate remediation effort, which is to finally start to process through with the bioremediation stage 1 and stage 2 stuff. Now, I know you guys haven't seen what bioremediation stage 1 looks like. That is getting ready to come up in one of my regular gardening videos here very shortly. But in the meantime, tonight we're only going to be checking in on bin 1 because bins 2 and 3 I literally just got through adding new bedding to and removing the castings from. There's very few worms in those 2 bins. I'm not sure what bin 1 looks like. It's been almost 3 weeks now, so it's definitely time for a check-in to see how things are doing. Maybe possibly add some food and some water. Only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. All right, it's been almost 3 weeks now. This is bin 1, and as you can see, we've got some pumpkins that have sprouted up. The bin has sunk down quite a bit in the 3 weeks since I populated it. So my hope is that we're going to find the worms doing well. This bin was given a little bit of water after the initial population also, so let's take a look and see how we're doing here. Now, if you remember, this was the cycled bin. There was a mesophilic cycle given to this, which is where the good majority of these pumpkin sprouts are probably coming from. There was a little bit of casting brought over from bins 2 and 3, but it was primarily bedding in here. But here's our first worm. A little small, but healthy looking. That's a good sign. Let's dig in and see how we're doing. Okay. I can tell you that worm that you see right there is a lot larger than any worm I put in here when we repopulated this bin, so that is a very good sign already right off the bat. Things are a little damp. That's to be expected after a cycle. And there's still a fair remnant of, well, some of the bedding is still in here, but I'm finding worms. That's a really good sign. I don't know if you can see them better like that if I get my thumb out of the way. But yeah, we've got worms in here. That is really good news. More. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, they have chowed down on the bedding that was in here. Holy smokes. These guys really, I mean, these are African night crawlers, and they really like their foods and they like their carbons. It's the thing that they thrive on best. These worms are definitely a lot bigger already. I mean, I think one of the things that's helped is there was not a huge population of them put in here to start with. What I probably should have done, and part of the reason I wasn't able to is because, you know, when I order worms here, I get them from a local farmer. It's hard to just simply ask him for, hey, I only really need 100 worms. I mean, even if I tell him that, he'll only charge me for 100, but he'll bring me at least 500 to 600 worms. So I overpopulated the bins last September, I think, to start. And what I'm seeing is, I mean, because you got to remember, these worms get very, very large, very big worms. But what I'm seeing is, you know, there's still the small ones that are in there. There's still some babies in here for sure, but I see worms getting larger in size, and that is a very good indication that they're doing well in this material. I'm gonna put a little bit more bedding in tonight for sure. But Yeah, this is a good start. This is what I was hoping for, was to find worms in here, number one, and hoping that they started to get a little bit larger in size. Very good start, and it's the moisture content in here. It's really good. It's like a damp, muddy consistency, which is fine. It's how I normally like to keep the bin anyway. I think I've said this many times in the past. I'd rather keep my bins a little bit wet than dry. It forces the worm to push itself through these materials. Plus, the moisture just helps them stay larger in size, I believe. So let's check the other side here. We have quite a few different sprouts that came up. I honestly, aside from just giving water after I think about the first week, I have not really bothered these worms. I've just allowed them to do their thing in hopes that they would just start getting larger in size, and that's apparently what's been going on. So this is good. But I'll tell you what, they've really gone through the bedding. Holy smokes, have they gone through it. Oh yeah. This is making me happy. I'm seeing worms in here, and granted, they're African night crawlers. They're not huge, but they're definitely bigger than they were over in bins 2 and 3. A lot bigger now. I brought over mostly babies in those handfuls you saw me bring over. They weren't much bigger than really small babies. Maybe some small juveniles, but what I'm seeing is I've got a really good population of them in here. They're still small, but hey, they're in here and they're doing well in these materials, which is really good. So I'm happy to see that. There's no bad smells or anything going on. Everything is going according to plan, which is what I was hoping for. So let's go ahead and we'll kind of put everything back over in its place here. Kind of leave them be so they can continue to do their thing. Airing it out, just fluffing it up like this, getting a little bit of air in the materials like this. Good thing to do so it doesn't go anaerobic, because it is wet in here for sure, but not overly wet. It's muddy, but it's not sticky muddy. I mean, there you go. Sticks together and crumbles together fairly nicely. The corner is probably a little bit more wet than here in the center, but let's take a look at the center real quick. Yeah, we've got worms all through the materials, guys. It's really good stuff. Kind of a graininess to it as well. I think that's probably from the compost, which I'm going to also be adding some more into today. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I put compost right down the middle last time as well, and that's fine. Over time, they work through that. This bin is very shallow right now. I'm going to have to grind up some more cardboard and get some additional bedding in here, I can tell. But this is all looking good. Population looks really good, looks healthy. Bin 1, once again, is looking really, really good. So let's do this. Let's give him a feeding. I'm going to put it right down the middle here. Nothing over the top or extra special, but definitely some leftover vegetable and fruit peelings that I can throw in here. Okay, so a little bit of bedding to start. Not a whole lot, but just, a little bit down here. Good whack of some compost. A few tomato slices. And a lot of nasty remnant cucumber and stuff like that. I get these all the time. Sometimes I get them from the food dealers down in my village. I'll just be walking by and they know for some reason, and I've never told them I have worm bins, but they know I like vegetable scraps and they always save them for me. I'm thinking they probably understand and know that I use it for obviously something in the way of composting. They just don't know exactly what it is. I can't communicate and tie that well. There we go. Juice to it. That's a pretty good feeding actually. So we'll see how they do. This last thing I'm putting in here has some brown rice in it, which rice you have to be careful with because it definitely will heat your bin up. But I think this will actually be okay. I think. We shall see. One of the secrets with rice, if I was to leave it in a clump like this, it would definitely heat up. But if you take it and you break it apart like this, you know, just as individual granules, really thin like this, it doesn't seem to heat up nearly as much. Individual clumps, like you've seen me do in the past in some of my other videos, like when I was cycling the bin before, back in the winter last year. I mean, if you leave it in clumps like I would in certain areas, that whole area heats up and then the microbes just start going nuts in that area. But yeah, if you spread it out like this, it's not as bad. Okay. Some last bedding, which I think will definitely help them out quite a bit. And off camera, I'm going to throw a little more water here in the center. But gang, that is it for bin 1. We're just doing this basic check-in right now. Everybody is looking really good, which makes me very happy. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please share it with someone. Give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'd really love it if you'd give consideration to doing that as well. Hit the bell notification icon so that you can be alerted by YouTube when I upload new videos, new content. And listen, wherever you are in this world today or tonight, you take care. Bye for now.